It is Monday, April 14th, 4:30 in the afternoon. This is the All 32 pod, as always, with Mike Giardi, Will Parkinson. We're just 10 days away from the NFL draft. We're all fired up about that. This show brought to you by Game Time. Best tickets, best prices anywhere you can find them. So use Game Time to get you involved because there's plenty of stuff going on right now in the sporting world. Will, fired up for this. I thought today we would do 5 prospects, bust or boom. And I think there are plenty that you start to look at in the top 50, top 75 where you go, I could see the path for this guy being a star or a really good player. And I could see 2 years from now going, oh my God, they really blew that pick. So I'll let you lead off for us today at boom or bust.
Yeah. I just want to give a shout out. I like golf more than you do, I think. Or I play golf at least more than you do at this point. I do not have kids yet, so I don't have as much of an excuse. The Masters was awesome yesterday.
I watched it.
Well, I want to give you this question, and this is a question Ryan Ursillo and Bill Simmons took, so I'm stealing theirs. I actually thought their answer was, frankly, terrible, but it was their answer was James Harden. It was who would people be genuinely most happy, get monkey off the back, a proverbial playoff choke artist in pro sports. I think this is an easy one, and it's very biased. For me, I think Aaron Judge is he's the best player in the sport, or second best player in the sport, and has been for quite some time. He's gotten close a bunch of times, and it feels like the one thing missing on his resume is a title and really a big playoff series, kind of similar to A-Rod in 2009 as a guy you think of. Who for you is there a guy that would have is the next Rory moment? Maybe it's a Boston sports guy. I can't really think of one. I felt like last year the Celtics got a lot of those off their back, and that was one of those guys I would have said.
I was in the pod too. It's a good question. It's funny when you say Judge. As a sports fan, I would agree. I just think that people hate the Yankees so much. They're so polarizing. You love them or you hate them. Yeah. That maybe no one would jump on and be like, yeah, I really want to see.
Maybe it's Trout, even though he's never really been in the playoffs that much. He's only been in the playoffs once. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Baseball is
I do wonder about the quarterbacks, right? Because
it's Lamar, right?
They mentioned Allen and Lamar, and neither one of them are they still, if all goes well, they still got 8
Rodgers, or is he too hated now?
I think he's too hated now too. I almost think that I think a lot of people like Allen. I think the Bills would be a cool story. But I don't know that you're going to get the same sort of reaction to it. I think after the math, people might be like, isn't it awesome that Buffalo won a Super Bowl?
The guy that I think people generally choker franchise, if you will. I wonder, is it Goff? But I think the Lions have already now had their time a little bit.
Would it be – there's another one. Would it be Luka?
Yeah.
After what he went through this year.
The LeBron thing, I don't know if people would be happy.
It's the same thing, and it's the Lakers where the brand is a huge brand like the Yankees, but then it's there are people that
Harden is a good answer. But I don't like Harden.
I can't get behind Harden at all. No way.
I don't know. It has to be also more of an individual thing. That's what golf is, so individual. I was thinking tennis. I don't know. I feel like Andy Murray with Wimbledon forever was that was the answer, because it was at playing at home, he would be all hyped up. He could win every other tournament, but he'd come to Wimbledon and choke.
Do it. What if Nadal came back and won?
Yeah. I guess
he's pretty much, his career is pretty much over. Yeah, he just had one last wild card run.
It's not an easy answer. Is there a hockey? Is it
McDavid?
Ovechkin's won, Sidney's won.
Yeah, McDavid.
It's McDavid maybe, but he wasn't a choker in the playoffs. That's the thing.
Their team's just not that great.
Yeah,
even when they made it.
I don't know. If people were listening, you guys usually comment and tell me and Mike how stupid we are. For this episode, maybe if you want to comment and give us your answer on this.
I like it. Yeah, get involved.
The thing.
We do read the comments. Generally, there's not much to respond to there, but get involved. We'll take your thoughts on that one. We'll also take your thoughts on boom or bust. And as I said, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so I'm going to start off. I'm going to start off with Jalen Milroe. I think this is fairly obvious. If Jalen Milroe can figure it out, which I have serious doubts on, just full stop. Yes. I'm not sure what there is really to love outside of the running game. Just being honest, that character is amazing. He's an incredible kid by all accounts. He's not a good runner. He's one of the better runners I've ever seen at the position. Real 4.30 speed, really, and he's huge. It's not it's not like Lamar where he's really shifty and the speed was really good, but it's obviously declined a little bit. Lamar, if you notice, he doesn't have that same. The first gear is still amazing. The second gear is a little less. Josh Allen's that bigger runner. Milroe's physical as heck.
Yeah.
The run game's amazing. He has a strong arm in terms of like the deep ball actually is pretty decent for what it's worth. But anything middle, short to intermediate is an absolute train wreck. And he's almost this. People are going to laugh at this. He's like too jacked at the quarterback spot. This kind of happened to Cam at the end of his career, where the shoulder gets so tight because you're so and it's just.
I have the same problem.
Yeah. There's a lot of the same. Just like it's a lot of fastballs all the time. And I feel like an ass. Using a lot of the same tropes we've done with, minority quarterbacks. But unfortunately, in this case, like it's actually deserved. It's Milroe's a lot of Mike. I think I said this to you 3 months ago. A lot of the really lazy, bad narratives with Lamar coming out is actually what Jalen Milroe is, which was an elite runner. Like, oh, what could he play receiver in the league? Like Jalen Milroe probably could play receiver or safety in the league and be good. Like, I don't know. And I hope someone gives him a chance at quarterback and he sits for 2 years and maybe he's a short yardage guy early on, and then he becomes like, a gadget guy, and then he starts to really learn the position. But if he can hit, the athleticism is amazing. It's just there's a really, really low floor there, and I don't know where he'll go. But McShay is like pretty confident he's going in the first round. The NFL seems to be confident, and that's as boomer bust as it's going to get right there.
Yeah, I would love to see him. Because again, you talked about the character things, and he drove the Alabama coaching staff not just in terms of sometimes not the inability to process, right? And like, we went through this, you should be able to do this, but they did. They liked the kid a lot, and he works his ass off. I'd love to see him get an opportunity with a quarterback guru type, like the Kevin O'Connell. Not that they need one, but you know what I'm saying? Like Kevin O'Connell, Stefanski's done a nice job with quarterbacks over time, like taking some guys that we don't think were very good and propping them up. So I wonder, like, if you could get into a system like that, even McVay, like get him into a system like that. And look, you're not playing for 2 years. Like this is your time to play will be in August, and then the rest of the time you're our scout team quarterback, but you're studying, and we're trying to get you to understand the game the way we see it and see how it goes, because there is the athletic potential there is fantastic, and there is some awesome tape. His first half against Georgia was freaking electric. May have been, again, it's a small sample size. It's a half of football. It may have been the best half of football any quarterback played last year in college football. Like
you see it.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was tantalizing how good that could be.
Yeah, then you turn on the Oklahoma tape, and then it's
and then you just like, what?
It's like you're unplayable at any level.
Yep.
So,
and I think they sort of wrestled with that at various points too. So yeah, landing spot for him is going to be critical. I feel like someone in the media has said, kind of threw out the Cordell Stewart, as you were talking about
interesting.
Sort of threw out the Cordell Stewart thing, where like, they call him Slash, right? He did 2 things, and like he did it at a decent level for a while there. But I'm guessing Milroe probably, let's be a quarterback. Let's see what that's like. And when you get to 2 years in and it's not happening, then maybe you say, all right, coach, Tim Tebow playing fullback. All right, coach, let's give it a whirl and see what happens and see if I can salvage my career. But he'll be a fascinating one. And if he goes in first round, you're right. That is massive boomer bust factor. Massive. I'm going to go with one of your favorite guys, Jamar Stewart, the defensive lineman from Texas A&M. And I mean, you just start with the physicals. Like if you want to know why this player is going to boom, he has the athletic profile that you salivate over if you're a defensive coach. Like you can't build it better in a lab. He is an explosive athlete. He is fast. He is strong. There are parts of his tape that are really awesome where you're just like, dude, he's a top 10-ish type pick. And some people will tell you, I think Dane Brugler had him number 9 in the Beast when, Dane is pretty plugged in to just like sort of rating these players. So like there is that potential for him to be an awesome player in the right situation. But then there's the other part of the tape where for 3 years, he's never had more than a sack and a half in a season. And you're just like, how can you be this physically imposing, this explosive an athlete and not know how to finish? And I would have thought like, hey, it took him a couple years, but this year he finally broke out. He finally finished it. Princely, the kid from Ole Miss, he went back to school this year at Ole Miss after being in Florida for 4 years because he said, I knew I was a double-digit sack guy, and I hadn't done it. So he He said no to the Senior Bowl invite 2 years ago, went to transfer to Ole Miss, got his double-digit sacks, went back to the Senior Bowl this year, got to go to the Senior Bowl this year, and he's probably a day 2 pick. I'm not probably. He's going to be a day 2 pick. Shamar is one of those guys I look at him like, there's more in there. There has to be. Like, if it's not, you've just wasted this physical ability, this raw physical gifts that he has. Misses tackles. I thought this was interesting. 26.9%. That is a massive number for a massive human being. He shouldn't be who's that athletic. And I will say, if people are going to knock him beyond like some of the statistical stuff, there has been the conversation, I think it does show up when you watch him closely, that despite all these great athletic gifts, he can be a little stiff side to side a little bit. So maybe that contributes to missed tackles or not being able to finish at the top of his rush. But again, the stats say, I don't know that I should draft him in the first round. Like back in the day, this is probably like the perfect second round guy where you're like unbelievable talent, but just it hasn't come together on the field for him. But he's getting picked in the first round, and he's either going to make somebody very happy or there's going to be a lot of frustration with his play over the course of time.
Yeah, I think he's boomer bust, but I don't think the floor is quite as low as everybody else. That's part of why I like the player. Super disruptive. I think his biggest flaws right now, frankly, are he gets a little off balance at times. He kind of like, it's not like clumsy. He just like, sometimes he needs to just almost slow himself down because he's such like a freight train that he just like almost overrun things. He's so fast sideline to sideline. But I think there's the potential in there that, hey, I think he's a better athlete than Trayvon Walker is in terms of like, that pure athleticism. And Trayvon Walker's a double-digit sack guy. I also think he could be the bad version of Jadeveon Clowney year to year. That's like 3 sacks, and he's a good run defender, but we took him in the top 10. And right. Is that worth it?
I was going to say too, like, I wonder too about just the coaching at A&M. He was part of that great class with 5-star defensive linemen, and Shamar Turner never quite, he's a decent player, right? He's going to get drafted 3rd round, 4th round, somewhere in there. They bring in Nick Scorton, who was awesome at Purdue last year. Then they had him put 20 pounds on.
Yeah, and he got fat.
And he's not the same player. Like, he probably cost himself a crap ton of money because he decided to, he took the money short-term NIL and then like didn't have the kind of season where he should be a 1st round pick. And I think actually he's, based on everything I've heard in the pro day and stuff, he's already down to like 258 or something like that. Like he's getting himself back to Purdue, and someone's going to grab him in the 2nd or 3rd round. And like, if he gets back to the Purdue player, you just got yourself a 1st rounder in the 2nd or 3rd round. But I do wonder about the Texas A&M coaching and like maybe again, a better defensive line coach. Like, could you see him in San Francisco with the way they've had the history of, really developing defensive linemen? Like, could he just take off if he was there?
I'm going to go Luther Burden for my second one. The reason I say it's boom or bust is we quite literally just experienced this. 2023, you're coming in, or 2024. 2023. The years are all confusing. Coming into this college football season, good money is a top 10 pick. I think it would have been a safe bet. He would have been minus odds to be a top 10 pick. And I don't know if he goes in round 1 now. And that's how bad this year was. I mean, the yards cutting more than half, the yards per catch were way down. It's like he was not a good football player in 2024. Like, I don't know how else to say it, but the 2023 tape's phenomenal. So you just saw the boomer bust. I mean, I'm not going to go super long on Burden just because we just saw the example of it. This isn't even a projection. This is like, if he's a 2023 player and you get him to pick 40, like, damn, that's a great value, man. Yep. And then it's going to boom. It'll be more double chuck chocolate cookie and chicken bake than anything else. But the issue is, what if he just mentally doesn't have it? It's like gets frustrated when the ball's not coming to him. He checks out, and I don't know. I wonder with him, like, how much is it the quarterback? How much is it what happened with Missouri this year? How much is it him? How much is it a combination? What's he project like? Again, I think I've seen people mock him as high as 12. I'd be pretty surprised. And I also don't think he's like the 60th best player of this draft. I think he's somewhere in the middle, probably end of round 1, beginning of round 2. Maybe similar to like a Keon Coleman, not style of play, but just similar last year where like some people were mocking him really high and other people were like, he sucks. And he kind of found himself in the middle in Buffalo. I think went 35th overall or something like that. So Burden to me is literally seen the boomer bust level of a player. So I don't know how you don't throw him in here.
Yeah, I'm looking to find it because I think it was a scout who told me this, and I did this in my last week in my sort of receiver preview because obviously the Patriots are once again in the market for a wide receiver, and the quote was he could eventually be the best receiver in the class according to one scout, or he's such a pain in the ass he'll have buyer's remorse. I'm not sure there's an in between, and it's he is the king, and I just lived through this past year, and you saw some of it too with Rodgers. But like I really lived through it, especially the first 5 games of the season with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, or 4 change, whatever it was. Bad body language, like just hands up, shoulders slumped, head down, turning to the sidelines and saying something to the sidelines. And it's just like, I get it. You had an awesome year last year in the offense, even with the same quarterback, Brady Cook, although he had some injuries this year. Back, they took a massive step back offensively. But dude, then lead. Like they're doing everything they can to get you the ball. There were a lot of pieces to the puzzle that weren't working very well for him. But boy, did he pout and did he just kind of grumble and just it's sort of like
him and
we say it. It's
Stephon Diggs it together.
Yeah, it's the one, and it's just the wide receivers. I don't know what it is, but it runs in their blood. I don't know when you sign up to be a college wide receiver and you're going to be a pro wide receiver that you eventually get some of that in you where you just think like, I'm king and the ball should come to me. And if it doesn't, then I'm going to grumble my whole way through this game practice, etc. That's another thing too. Some of the talk about him as a practice player, not great, just not really, not all that interested. How about this one for you? Nick Emanwari, the safety from South Carolina, who absolutely blew up the combine, who was on Dane Brugler's freak list, or Bruce Feldman's, freak list before the season started, 6'3", 220, like did things that size, testing-wise, that you should not be able to do. And yet, when I watch him, and his tape this year was better than last year, I still say, I don't know if he's more of an idea of what he could be than what he is as a player. Because I think what he is as a player right now is not a first-round pick. And I'd be shocked if he doesn't go in the first round. So I also think he's one of those guys where the very smart thing to do with him, it's not split safety stuff. He's not a free safety. Stick him in the box and let him attack people. And if someone's smart enough to do that and say, we're not messing around with this stuff, you're going to play inside the box and you are going to attack the run game. You're going to attack tight ends, attack running backs, go forward and be that explosive athlete that you are, then it could be an absolute boom. But if you want to mess around with this, and again, I don't love the football instincts. I think there's I don't love the football IQ. And I've heard other people say they like it. I watched some parts where I'm just like, he didn't really see that right. And that wasn't all that complicated to figure out. So I struggle with him because I think someone's going to become intoxicated with the physical ability. And then when they get him in there, you're going to go, is he not? Remember Taylor Mays? I'm a USC guy, right? Like awesome athlete, awesome, like same thing, tested off the charts, this huge dude, like, oh, he's going to change the world at strong safety. But also he can play back and he can play free. And then he got in the league and you're like, he can't play. I don't know that Nick Emanwari can't play, but I don't know that to me, he's not a first round pick. And so I could see that's where the bust factor comes in when you pass on, there's going to be some good players that go behind him and you go, we could have had that dude. And instead we took the physical freak that just doesn't play football to the level that we want.
I didn't realize I was going to catch a Taylor Mays ricochet. What a beast. That dude was awesome.
He was, loved him in college. Absolutely loved him.
Decapitated Penn State. And RIP his teammate Kevin Ellison, but there's a hit he has on Deshaun Jackson that he damn near, I'm not sure that's a bad reference. He hit Kevin Ellison harder than he hit anybody else. And it was like, whoa, this dude is a freak. I think we were in 4.27 at like 235 pounds. And
yeah, he just wasn't, he wasn't a side to side athlete.
He couldn't move. And that's the problem. He's just, I don't know if Emanwari at the NFL level is going to be, I don't know yet. I think you have to use him very, very specifically. I think you got to be just, again, just careful. I'm going to stick with one more first round guy here. And then my other two are not day one guys. Cam Ward.
It's a good one.
I don't know, man. Like, I think Cam's a good prospect. I think Cam's got a lot of really, really strong traits. I think he plays a lot of effort football, and maybe I'm just biased because I've gotten burned by it in the past, but you got to be careful. And I think Quincy Avery did a really good segment. Who coaches up a lot of these guys? He works with Fields and Hurts and Deshaun, amongst others. And I remember when Zach Wilson was coming out, and it's not just because he had Fields as his client. He was like, dude, just be really careful. It's a lot of lackadaisical mechanics, and there's a lot of like, my arm's better than the defense, and a little too cool for school at times, and putting the ball in harm's way and having 8 hours back there. And I just worry a little bit with Cam that he goes to Tennessee. The defense is giving up 25 a game, and they're not giving up they're not amazing. So he's going out there and trying to just win it every Sunday. And there'll be some splash plays and awesome stuff, but there'll also be a lot of turnovers and things. And I don't know. There's just a hesitation. And I think you ask people around the Jets, around the Giants, around these other teams, like they all needed a quarterback. And Tennessee was like, we're open for business at a price. And in a year where I feel like it's not a slam dunk, the fact that Tennessee is kind of holding on there is like, we didn't get what we wanted. And the Giants, I don't know, like from what you hear, the Giants, they won 3-1 from the Giants. It's obviously a ton to move up 2 picks. But the Giants, like, if this was a class where you felt it's Arch Manning, right? And the Giants were like, who cares? You'd understand it in a lot of ways. Again, it's a heavy price. But I think Cam's a good prospect. It's boom or bust because I don't know. Like, is he going to limit turnovers in the NFL? Like, are we sure? Again, I'm not trying to doubt. I think he's works hard and he's a good kid by all accounts. And again, he is very talented. But the flat-footed, like, I'm too cool for school stuff, which again looks awesome and it's super fun. Don't get me wrong. Like, who doesn't love a bat flip and who doesn't love all these different things like the Steph Curry no look on a 3 and all that stuff? But you just got to be a little careful. And I'm a little worried that what if he starts off with the way Zach Wilson started? Again, I'm used to using Zach because I think he's a great example of they had to score a bunch of points. It was an offense with guys that, made it to the NFL, but it wasn't like, Arroyo's obviously a really good player, but he had the 1 year. I don't know. Mike, I'm just a little hesitant with Cam that I think there could be some boomer bust there where, I don't know, he's through 6 weeks. He's got 6 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. And you're like, I like what I see, but at the same time, even Caleb. Like, Caleb is a boomer bust guy, a lot of like running around back there, and I love Caleb. And like, I think Caleb's Caleb's got a really ridiculous arm, and by all accounts, great upstairs, and the whole thing. It just the more I think about Cam, like the less I love the Tennessee fit. At least that's like one thing. I don't know. Is he getting Calvin? Is Calvin Ridley just going to get 300 targets next year, and we're just going to say screw it, him and Tony Pollard to the moon? I don't know.
I'm glad you brought him up, and I'm glad you made a comparison, at least in terms of what he went through this past year.
Comparing him to Mahomes, which means you're as boom or bust as it's going to get, because Zach Wilson was the same way, and he turned into Zach Wilson, Patrick Mahomes.
Well, and just look at what happened to Caleb this year, where it was rough at times. And there's some habits that now, based on his last year at college and then what happened his first year at Chicago, that Ben Johnson is going to have to, really work to get out of his system, because that's now 2 years of playing that certain way. And I think your point is a good one, where Cam has played a certain way now. And if Tennessee's not very good and they're giving up a lot of points, and he gets into that chase mode and starts doing stuff and playing out of structure, which again, he can do, but you don't want to make your living doing it. I think it's a fascinating one to watch. And
doesn't it just scare you a little bit if your thing is I have to play out of structure? Not like I can, but I have to. And that,
right.
I hope Cam can play within structure, because I think he can. I think he's a good prospect. I just worry that a lot of times that this does not translate to the NFL. It's like you're playing them, the field's condensed quite a bit, and defenses just are better, like at point blank. And these defensive coordinators are better, and these guys aren't going to class during the week. Like it's 6 straight days of film and the whole thing. And he's got to get off to a hot start because, and again, I don't want to be like, oh, he's a bust if he has 2 bad weeks. It's just, if he struggles, the defenses start to bait you. And I've told the story before, and I'll stop talking about Cam. But Zach Wilson, we played the Patriots. You were there for this in his second year. The Jets were 6-2 at home. Really bad Patriots team in 2022. Like, by no means a good Belichick team at all.
Yep.
And Devin McCourty told the story on my other pod that Bill was like, he does everything. He will not stay in the pocket. He's going to flood right every time. That's where he wants to go. He wants to do the throws on the run and the broken play stuff. And we're going to they basically insinuated they let Zach get one early on to get his confidence up, and then had one of the worst halves of football, or worst 30 minutes of football I've ever seen.
It's rough.
And then he got mentally broken because Bill, like many other good defensive coordinators, are going to say, what are you good at? What are you not good at? And like I said, I wonder if defenses will go, cool, go play out of structure, see what happens. We're going to literally bait and switch you a bunch. And I hope that Cam is a good enough player, which I think he can be, to figure it out. And Brian Callahan can get it out of him a little bit. But there is some serious bust potential there if he doesn't figure it out early on.
Yeah, and if Brian Callahan doesn't get it out of him, Brian Callahan will be out of a job.
He will also, yeah.
For those of you who listen to the show, we ask you to subscribe to the podcast, the All 32 Pod. Like and leave a review. And for those watching the show on CLNS, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the Patriots Press Pass YouTube channel, where you can find our show and a lot of other great Patriots content. Please make sure to turn on your notifications so you know when we have a new video dropping. And we have been consistent about giving you a lot of content here as we lead up to the draft, and we'll continue after the draft. I'll go to my next one. It's Walter Nolan. He's a fascinating guy to me because you turn on the tape. Again, if you put together his 20 to 30 best plays, he's a top 5 pick. That's how awesome it is. He explodes off the football. He tosses dudes to the side. He was one of the top recruits coming out of high school, if not the top recruit that year, and he shows you that he has that talent. The problem with Nolan is he doesn't show you it on a consistent basis. So while he had a good year last year for Ole Miss, to me, he should have been better. And now can someone, again, I keep mentioning San Francisco, can someone draft him and put him in their system and develop him and work him hard, and that he ascends to the place that he should be based on his talent? That's a dice roll, but it's a worthy one if you hit, because you might have a Chris Jones-like player on your team on a rookie contract. He has that much physical ability, but the inconsistencies that you see from him, some of the technique lapses, I just have the talent. I don't need to really play the way you want me to play because I can just win. And actually, the other guy across from you in the SEC, he's pretty good too. He just beat you. They ran down your throat, or he shoved you to the side. Quarterback had a clean pocket, zipped the ball in there. There's too much of that. So I look at him and think the best of him, like I said, is a top 5 pick. I think that's the kind of talent he has. And the worst of him is, I can't believe we did this. We have a guy in the 5th round who at least knows his role and plays the position better than he does. He doesn't have nearly the physical gifts, but we tell him to do something. He does it. He takes on doubles. Whatever it is, he does it. And Nolan sometimes strays from that plan. So he, to me, as much as Stewart, I think, quite frankly, if I were to list my boom or bust, at the top, he'd be at the top of that list with Stewart. I wouldn't be surprised by either outcome.
Yeah. I'm trying to think how I want to phrase this. I would just say with Walter Nolan, it's not so much as he's a bad guy that's the character concerns. I'm not sure that I would view him as the guy that I feel best about from a football IQ, off the field IQ perspective. I just think there's you just worry a little bit of, is the switch going to consistently be on? And I think that was kind of an issue for him, frankly, in college. And look, man, he's number 1 recruit, 5-star guy that was playing around a bunch of other 5-star guys at multiple different schools. And it's it took a long time for the light to come on. And then when the light came on, it was on in big games, which is why he is going to be a top 25, 30 pick, maybe top 10 pick. But again, it's fine, especially I don't know that the lights always Quinn Williams plays hard every week. I don't know if the light's always on. But again, it's defensive tackle. Sometimes it's a little odd. My worry be if you drafted him, let's say the Niners draft him at 11. Lights are on for the Rams game, man. Thursday night football, and I don't know, they go play the Jaguars the next week in Jacksonville, and he 50 snaps and has 0 plays that are good. And it's like, what are we doing? And again, you hope that you can coach that out of him and just get him kind of to lock in for 60 minutes every week. Again, he'll play hard, the explosive first step. You saw it in Mobile. And the other thing I worry a little bit about with him, to be honest, Mike, is we saw it again a little bit in Mobile. He got injured 3 separate times in 2 days. And it's a lot. It was soft tissue stuff. And again, maybe that's avoidable. Probably wouldn't be a Vrabel guy if it's soft tissue injury, but
not a big fan.
But again, is he a guy that's going to be nagging with every year? It's 4 to 6 weeks of the year. You're is he practicing this week? Is it he's got a strained calf, but he's going to play, but we're not going to get his, I don't know. Those are the little things I worry about, guys. It can happen to anyone, but if the consistency light's not always on and the focus isn't always on, you worry about those guys that may be nagging and banged up, from time to time. Again, he's not a bad guy or anything like that, or there's no any of that stuff. It's just getting a little bit more.
Because the talent is tantalizing, and you just want to see it. I'm not saying he's going to give it to you when you're playing inside like that. Generally, you're not getting 50 A+ plays. It's too physical, it's too nasty. Guys are leaning on you, they're strong, but just too inconsistent. By the way, 6 schools in 7 years for Walter Nolan, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
go ahead, you're up.
I'm going to go another guy who transferred, and I frankly think there's very little possibility this is a boom guy, but Isaiah Bond. I don't know where Isaiah Bond's going to go. Probably somewhere between pick 60 and pick 120, depending on how you view him. Again, I don't know what the off-the-field stuff. That stuff popped up last week. I have no idea what to make of that. So, I'm just talking strictly on the field. I have no insight into the legal process there. So, if he did whatever he got arrested for, see ya. But if there's nothing there, there's nothing there. Again, I'm not a judge, so I just want to clarify before I get some comment of oh, he's a bad guy. I have no idea if he's a bad guy or a good guy because I wasn't there and I'm not a lawyer or a cop. He's a guy who said he was going to run 4.1. The Bama tape's good, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought his Texas tape kind of sucked. Not sucked. It just wasn't. It was very underwhelming considering what the hype around him was. Said he was going to run 4.1. He runs in the 4.4s. He's got a faster 40 than shuttle time. That's very rare as a receiver. There's a lot of hype around him. I think people are excited about him, but from a football perspective, and maybe he is the player he was at Bama, and we're and the guy who's billed to be at Texas, and he looks like a really awesome value pick at pick 100. There's also a chance he's out of the league in 2 years. So. For those reasons, again, I'll keep it short with him just because, I don't know the specifics, but the talent's there. He's a talented kid for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He's played at 2 huge schools and been productive, but there's just something underwhelming about him, to be honest. And there's a laziness at times. I don't know. I would lean he's going to be a bust prospect, but there's a chance he could boom, obviously.
I mean, it's crazy for someone with his explosive speed. And again, he didn't run as he said he was going to run, but you see it on tape. He flies. They had a hard time getting him the ball down the field. And, some of that was Quinn Ewers didn't have an awesome year, but some of that was him too. And yeah, he's one of those guys I personally even before what happened, he's just not my kind of receiver. And he did not give me the kind of production that I would have wanted from Texas when really this year was set up for him to be the guy. And he ended up not only not being the guy, Golden took that. I don't even know that he was the second best guy. That to me is a definite red flag and has me leaning way more towards bust than boom. I'll give you one. We've talked about him. James Pierce, 6'5", 245 pounds. He should be the quintessential speed rusher. He's got the length, the upfield speed. It's all there for him. Yet I can't get over the fact that at Tennessee, when he's supposed to be their best player, 2 straight years, he played 35% of the snaps. How does that guy, if he's that good, again, someone that we've talked about here who was in August, probably the consensus number one pick going into the season in the entire draft. And now there's a chance that he's not even a first round pick. In fact, it's probably 60-40 that he's a day 2 pick. And I just look at him, and I also, so there's that part of it, which I have a real hard time with. Like Tennessee, you're telling me you can't put him out there more than that. Like, what is it that doesn't allow you to have him out there? And again, it wasn't just this year; it was last year as well. He also has this incredible habit of trying to win with power when he's clearly not a power guy. Not that he doesn't have some strength to him; he obviously does. But like, his game should be predicated all around speed. And yeah, you want to convert speed to power, go for it. Sometimes he just tries to win with power, and you're like, you're rushing against a guy who's not going to get drafted, or he's an undrafted free agent. Again, SEC, good conference, but like, that guy's not a great player. You should kick the crap out of this guy. He doesn't move that well. And you decide you're going to run right into him, and that guy has a good enough anchor against your average strength to hold you off and make you look like you're a non-factor. Again, 7.5 sacks last year. There's just, to me, as another guy, scary because there should have been more production for what he's worth. And I honestly, there's some off-field stuff that we've talked about, like I don't have anything specific, just, whatever, not necessarily for everyone. So that combination has me leaning more towards like, he's a bust. Yeah, he might be in the league for 7 years, and he might have a 5 or 6 sack season somewhere, but he's never going to go to the next place is my concern with him.
Yeah, I don't I don't disagree. I'm just not sure. Pierce is just a confusing player. Again, another guy that preseason you're like, he might go number 1 overall. And there's certainly a lot of talent there in a lot of ways. Like, I think Connor and Trevor referenced this on NFL Stock Exchange. His answer to why he ran in a hoodie at the combine, he just forgot like what his stuff. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, maybe I'm a sucker for like the being prepared and like for the biggest job interview you'll ever go on, but figure it out. And
yeah, that's not a good answer.
Again, ran a good time. Like, again, it didn't affect him, but it's just like eventually that stuff seems to catch up with guys when they get to the league. I really believe that.
Today we're taking a look at Georgia linebacker Jalen Walker, why he makes entirely too much sense as the first pick of the Mike Vrabel Patriots era, and where exactly he could be used best at the next level. Walker started 1 season for Georgia, taking on early linebacker duties after 2 years as a situational rusher. The Longhorns slide right on a play-action dropback, leaving Walker 1v1 against fellow 2025 prospect Cameron Williams. The tackle tries using a hug technique to grab Walker, but the edge rusher keeps himself clean by stabbing Williams' chest and controlling his outside wrist. This jolts Williams back and causes him to raise his pads, allowing Walker to win inside with an arm over and flush the quarterback, influencing a check down and eventual drop. I actually thought Walker's 2023 pass rush tape was even more impressive than what he showed last season, as there were a wider variety of moves and he had more opportunities to show off his lower half flexibility. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to become a member of Patriots Press Pass on YouTube to get full access to videos like this and much more really fun content. I cannot wait for you to see it.
Mike, I'm going to go a very surprising one. I actually just changed my answer. And this is why I'm going to go with this. I do not think Ashton Jeanty is in any way, shape, or form going to be Trent Richardson. I don't. I think he's far more in the running back that's going to be on the top 10. That's the Saquon, Ezekiel Elliott type that like is going to be an unbelievable back in the league. And Zeke obviously flamed out early because the Cowboys and Ohio State ran him to the ground. So like there's a good chance that Jeanty is Zeke and the first 5 years are amazing. And when it falls off, and it'll be 27, but like, screw it, man. We got 5 amazing years out of him. He should have won the Heisman last year, the whole thing. There's that possibility for sure. But what if he goes to the Raiders and the O-line gets banged up? And like they just took a top 6 pick on a running back that what if he's not amazing because running back is so reliant. So it's not necessarily Jeanty that's boom or bust, because I think he's a pretty flawless prospect. I mean, what is there not to like? Other than like he's not Josh Jacobs who just didn't touch the football until he got to the NFL. Like other than that, there's nothing not to like. He's size, strength, speed, catching ability, blocking, makes people miss, played well against every level of competition. Like everything is no boxes or unchecked character. Everything's good. But like Trent Richardson felt like the same way and got to the NFL, and not only did he get taken 4th overall and stink that because everything around him stunk and he wasn't good, but then he gets traded
Nice
for
job, Mike Lombardi.
Yeah, then he get a top 5 pick, traded for him, and then he was even worse. So running back's just one of those picks that it's like, it's not Genty per se. I'm using Genty as the player. It's kind of a cop out, but like, just I don't know. Even Bijan, right? Bijan's an amazing player. How many wins he helped with the Falcons? They picked in the same spot for like 4 straight years. So it's just everything has to be right. So for that reason, I'm just going to use Genty as an example of just what running back, how reliant it is and everything else, even if you're a good player.
I've had people ask me about Genty, right? And I was on TV last week on NBC Sports Boston, and the host threw it out there. He was like, "Oh, what about Genty?" I'm like, "It's a luxury pick, and this team can't afford luxury right now."
This is great. You earn the right to be able to draft those guys, and neither the Patriots, the Jets, the Raiders, in my opinion, have earned the right at this point with their roster to be able to pick the Saquon Barkley final piece of the puzzle, Christian McCaffrey final piece of the puzzle guy.
Much better suited. And look, again, you're right. Like from a talent perspective, he's right up there, right? You want to include him as one of the 3 or 4 blue chippers in this draft. Understand completely, absolutely, sign off on it. But none of these places are ready to win yet. And so you're going to be put in a difficult situation where a lot is going to be expected, and you can't change the world if your offensive line's not good or your quarterback's not good, or, we're going to, our play caller stinks and we're going to blow this out in a year anyway. Like, much better served if you went in the back half of the first round from 15 on. Imagine him in Minnesota. Just pick a team.
Even the Bears, like, at least it's like,
yep,
everything else is right around him.
They've lined everything up to be. Can they take the next step? I
just worry that he's going to end up at a place that, I don't know. Even there's the rumors of the Jets now at 7, and he'd probably be really successful. But even like Saquon was amazing with the Giants in the beginning, and
then lost his burst.
Injuries. Again, it's not even Genty. It was a bit of a reach there. I was thinking about a bunch of other guys that are going to go early day 2, day 3. Jaden Higgins was another one that I felt like big receivers are just really difficult. I could have gone Tet. There's other names there, and I know you're going to finish with one of the more popular, similar to Jalen Milroe guys. But there's just a lot of players in this draft. There's a lot of stable meat and potatoes guys for sure. Skill wise, it feels like the more solid your Jalen Noel, Jack Beshes of the world, and as a receiver, and tight end, the Mason Taylors of the world, Warren, Loveland. Even Loveland, I feel like I could have gone boom or bust. Like shoulder, more of a pass catching guy. What if he doesn't get deployed? Like Dawson Knox was billed as the same guy, and he's been fine. I mean, not Dawson Knox. Dalton Kincaid has been been good, fine, but like he hasn't really.
No, they thought there was going to be more.
Now I don't know if the Bills are still Super Bowl-less, frankly. So there's just, it feels like in wrapping up my portion of this, the trenches feel much more solidified in terms of the floor is really high with a lot of these guys. You can determine the ceiling, I guess, maybe, for a Campbell or, Banks and guys like that, but their floor is really high. Like they're going to be good players. The tape's pretty flawless. Skill guys, it's like, can Tet separate enough? Is Tet going to be, what's his role going to be? Or, is Matthew Golden actually fast? Or is he just like, he's fast-ish, but ran a really good time. So now everyone thinks he's going to be Tyreek Hill. Like he's not Xavier Worthy or Tyreek Hill. He's just he's a good player. That's fine. But I guess that's where I kind of use Genty as more just the example of a lot of these skill guys might go higher than expected. And when that happens, you're more of a boom or bust guy based on draft slot. And I don't know. It's just a tough one, to be honest with you.
All right, I'll give you my last one. And I wrote down, love him as the 3rd round pick. But in round 1, what are we doing? I am talking about Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart, who I've talked about for a long time. I've watched a lot of Ole Miss football. I kind of like Lane Kiffin. I kind of like some of the pieces that they had on their football team for the last few years. I love the uniforms. Just put it out there. Like great uniforms, great college uniforms. He never struck me as the 1st round pick. I'm not even sure that he ever struck me as an NFL starter, like, or at least he's a developmental guy that if you hit, yeah, maybe by back end of year 2, year 3, he's starting. But then what's his ceiling?
I was going to say, what's his ceiling? Geno, Hurts?
Yeah, is he
That
like
level?
in his
Derek
best
Carr?
year? Is he the 12th best quarterback in the league if it really hits for him? Like, that's kind of where I am with him. And I think the other thing that sort of adds to me leaning more bust than boom is that as much as I like Kiffin, their offense doesn't prepare their pieces to be ready for the NFL. And it's not just quarterback, it's wide receiver too. Trey Harris is going to be probably a 3rd round pick, maybe 2nd round, the wide receiver. His route tree is like non-existent. They basically just say go.
He's got the DK route tree.
Yeah. Except not nearly the DK like he's not that explosive an athlete, but like, it's like, you didn't do anything to help this kid like add to his repertoire. He's going to come into the league and he's going to get picked at a point where people are going to think he's going to play right away. And there are certain things that he can do, but like, he's going to they need to teach him some stuff when he gets here that Kiffin should have given him the foundation for as a former NFL coach himself. He didn't. And I think the same way with Jackson Dart, like, they don't ask you to read it out. Like, it's kind of like, where's the first option? If that guy's not there, like, now I'm just going to run around a little bit, and that's not going to work in the National Football League. And he's a good athlete, but he's not Cam Ward athlete. He's not Jaden Daniels athlete. He's not even Drake May athlete. So, like, he's got some serious growth ahead of him that's going to be needed for him to be that guy. And I know I keep coming back to it, and they wore the same number and they went to the same school, but like, if 2 years from now you told me like it's Matt Corral, it's Matt Corral all over again. Matt Corral was a 3rd round pick who there was some off-field stuff with him that, happened later in his career, but like, he wasn't ready for the league.
No.
And he got swallowed up. He got swallowed up right away. And then it just sort of spiraled out of control for him. And I could see the same thing happening to Dart. Like, the idea that he's a 1st round pick, and I mean, McShay had him at 9 in his last mock draft. Good luck, man. Because I can tell you this, he's not ready to play this year.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you throw him into the back end of the season just to get him some game reps, but like, he's not a day 1 starter.
No.
And if he is, then that's a boom, because I don't see that at all from him. So that to me is a big risk. Again, if I'm picking him late 2nd, 3rd round, okay, I got some time. Put him with LA, with McVay. Again, put him with O'Connell, whoever, like some of these quarterback guys. All right, you're going to sit over here. You're going to learn from a pro like Stafford. You're going to learn from whatever, and we'll go from there. Instead, it's going to be like, oh, we stink. You need to play. You're not ready to play, and you could get broken very quickly.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add there. I don't know. I think his ceiling is he's a solid quarterback in the league, a guy that you're not looking to replace, but you're not also looking to extend in any, with any excitement. And he's a guy who very well could just be a backup in the league. And
there's no shame in that, but
no, of course not.
If you're drafting in the 1st round, you're expecting more.
With Milroe, like if Milroe's a mid-day 2 pick and you Dart throw, worth it. If you take Dart the top of round 2, if you're the Giants, like, I get it. It makes a ton of sense. If the Giants took Jackson Dart at 3, or the Saints took him at 9, or I don't know. Again, with the Rams, I like the fit. Maybe he becomes Hurts for you, and like, you don't love it, but you can win, and everything around him is good and makes some throws. But there's also the other side of things, which is it's not so pretty.
All right, that's going to put a wrap on this edition of the All 32 Boom or Bust. We'll be back with you again at the end of the week. We appreciate, as always, you tuning in, liking, subscribing, doing all those wonderful things, and we will talk to you again at the end of the week.